Hello everyone, this is Walter, the Film Hermit, and today I am going to do a Harry Potter video. It's crazy to believe, but this year marks the 20th anniversary of film number 1, The Sorcerer's Stone. So it's going to be re-released on Blu-ray in a 20th anniversary 4K UHD Steelbook. And I've got an image here to take a look at it. And that's going to be the front cover of it. So I think that's pretty good art. I have this movie already, so I don't need it in a Steelbook, but I like to have some of my favorite franchises on Steelbook, and for some reason I never got these on Steelbook. Let me see, there's an image of the inside artwork. There's the Hogwarts Express. This is from Blu-ray.com. Whenever I try to make the image smaller so it fits the screen better, it never quite fits right. Maybe if I do landscape, it'll be a little better. No, it's worse. So maybe I might pick this one up if it's not too expensive, just to kind of have in the room and have on the shelf, but I don't think so. I'm gonna kind of go over some of my Harry Potter collection right now. I just want to get a release date for this. So this is actually, oh wow, this is actually August 17th. It's gonna be in 2 weeks. I thought it was going to be like in October or something, so it was real soon. I do remember the first time I saw this particular film. I didn't see it at the theater. I didn't know anything about Harry Potter at the time. I remember I was working for a stereo company, and part of my job was making sure that televisions got delivered. And I was at a customer's home, made sure that a TV got delivered, and they were watching it. And I had heard that it came out, but I was like, this is a kid's movie. And she was talking about how like her and her family really enjoy it. Then I remember shortly afterwards I think I rented the DVD and watched it, and it was not what I expected. The film, even though it was a children's film, had a lot of darker undertones that I didn't expect. I really liked, of course, the main character, Harry Potter. Wow, one thing I do remember is the director of this film is Chris Columbus. And actually it's one of the few Hollywood film directors I actually met. I was back in the 90s. I used to work in a video store, and I've always been a big film fan. Actually, at the time I was going to film school, and I knew who he was because he had directed Home Alone and so forth. So this is one of those days I actually went to work, and I actually had a cold, a really bad cold. I should probably stayed home. Back in the 90s, it was actually responsible if you still went to work and you were sick. So I remember it was really bad, and I was feeling kind of dizzy. And I'm sitting there and I'm checking out people's rentals. And at that particular video store, you had to check customers' IDs. And I asked him if I could check his ID, and I see his name, and it says Chris Columbus. And the first thing that popped in my head was like, oh, Chris Columbus. And I didn't say like the person that discovered America. I'm like the movie director. And I remember like in a daze, I kind of looked up at his face, and I'm like, oh yeah, you're him. Because I knew exactly what he looked like. Nicest guy in the world. I remember my best friend at the time had met him about a year prior. He had stumbled on one of the sets of one of his 90s movies called 9.5 Weeks, and he met Hugh Grant, met Julianne Moore, and met him, and said that he was a really nice guy, and he was. Had a short conversation, and it kind of just blew me away that he just walked into the video store. This is back when I lived in San Francisco. But that's my history with meeting that director and actually discovering that film. So yeah, of course the cast is Daniel Radcliffe, he plays Harry Potter. Rupert Grint, he plays Ron Weasley. And Emma Watson plays Hermione Granger. Those are the 3 children that are the stars of this film, and that kind of we see them grow up through all the 8 movies. One thing I kind of figured on IMDb that's kind of weird is Daniel Radcliffe and Rupert Grint are like the first 2 listed in the cast, and you got to scroll down really far to see Emma Watson. I'm like, I know she was a kid at the time, but like those kids carried the movie. That must have been a really tough film to cast, because if you think about it, there's a lot of movies that have child actors, but you have to find child actors that can, 1, carry your movie, and 2, can carry 7 more movies. Because that's one of the things that makes this franchise work, is the fact that you have these 3 actors that we see grow up as the characters grow up. And for the most part, a lot of the supporting cast was left the same throughout the entire 8 movies as well. Really hot in here. I didn't really mean to drink on camera, but it's really hot in here. But let's go ahead and take a look at what I used to have before. Now, when it comes to my Harry Potter collection, over the years, I started with DVDs because it was the early 2000s, and then I shifted to Blu-ray for a couple of them, and then the studio started releasing these Ultimate Editions. So this one, I think, is probably back in 2017 that they started releasing these. I was doing some research beforehand to kind of see when I started getting these. This one, no, back in 2009 is when these came out, and actually 1 and 2 came out about the same time. So the nice thing about these sets is that this one had the theatrical version and had like a longer cut, which is closer to what the novel was, closer narrative-wise. And they have some kind of bonus stuff inside here too. They had like a booklet, and they had some other things. I'm gonna open one of them. I don't know reason to open all of them. There's a lot of stuff in here. So one thing I like about this, you kind of slide it open, and you got this art here. You have this art in the back. You have a really nice spine. And I don't know if it picks up on camera. Some of this is slightly embossed. You can kind of feel it with your fingers here. And when it kind of opens up, you have some pictures of the cast, some pictures from the film, and the stairway that Harry Potter's going to when he's going to find the Sorcerer's Stone. And it's got this nice little digipack when you open it up. It's got the same image that's on the front. And you open it up, and it kind of goes over all the bonus features that you're getting. And you open it up there. There's more art and the film disc and more art. And this is one thing that was unique with this particular special edition series, is it had these Creating the World of Harry Potter discs. Now these bonus features, I believe, are on the digital copies now, but back when these came out, they were only available in these sets. And I don't have them all because they're very, very difficult to find now for the most part. But I still haven't watched these yet, but I've heard these documentaries are really, really good. But it kind of goes over the making of the films, and it's in 8 parts because there's one in each set. And there's more here. When you open it up, you got a booklet for Creating the World of Harry Potter. You get one of these booklets in each set. And they have this little envelope thing that has more of this bonus features here. There was a digital copy. Back in the day, you needed a disc for the digital copy along with a code. And they have these little art cards. And I just noticed that some of these art cards are not images of the characters from this film. Like, you can tell that he's a little older in this one. I think this is the image from the 3rd one. But each one has 2 of them. So it looks like 1 and 2 came out around the same time, and that's when I ordered them originally back in 2009. And then I picked up the 3rd one, which, actually I'll show you the 2nd one. This is the 2nd one, and I've always liked this one a little more. And a lot of people always say they don't like this one, and I don't know why, because, by the way, this is a 20-year-old franchise. If you haven't seen it, I'm probably going to drop a spoiler here and there. A lot of the events that happen in this film are very important to the rest of the franchise. The Chamber of Secrets, basically the history of Voldemort, who he really is. And this one is a little bit more darker when it comes to, like, you know, children being eaten by a gigantic snake, which I thought was kind of cool. This has the same kind of stuff. I'm not going to open every single one, but it looks like I ordered the 1st one and the 2nd one at the same time. And the 3rd one is a little different. The 3rd one, they had like a lenticular back on here, so the image kind of changes when you turn it around. This is the last one I ordered, and I don't remember why. I think what it was is these sets were kind of expensive, and I was kind of thinking, do I really need to keep buying these at this price point? And I wish I hadn't, because after this one, they started to become rare and really expensive, and it'd be nice to have them all in the set. But the 3rd one for a while was my favorite one. And this one is actually directed by Chris Columbus, did the first 2. This one's directed by Alfonso Cuarón. I'm sure I massacred his name, I apologize. He actually directed Gravity and a few other films, but this is the first film of his that I ever watched before. What was the one with where everyone was dying and the babies? I'll look it up later, but he did another great film with Clive Owen. God, for the life of me. See, when you get older, you can't remember things like you used to in your 20s, but I'll look it up and I'll confirm it. But that was another good film of his. But this is the first one of his movies I ever saw. And when I saw this film, this is when I started reading the books, because I liked the story of this one, and I just loved the art direction in this movie and just the way he edited the film. It was just beautiful. So this is after I saw this when I started to become a Harry Potter fan as an adult. So that's the third one. And the fourth one, I didn't get the special edition until much later. And that's when they started to become really rare and hard to get. And then one day I lucked out and I found the DVD one. And I didn't know this at the time, but the DVD Ultimate Edition sets had all the same stuff in it. The only thing it didn't have was a Blu-ray disc. And at this point when I bought it, I was like, I already have a Blu-ray disc, so I can spend less money and get all the bonus stuff in here. And I think the reason because I had this one. For a while, they just had the standard edition Blu-rays, which was fine at the time. This is even though this is a standard edition, I always liked this art for the film. This is the first movie that I had saw of Harry Potter where I had already read the book. And at first I didn't like the movie that much because they took a lot of stuff that was in the book out of this movie. But as time went on and as like my memory slipped and I didn't remember everything that was in the book, this one grew on me a lot more. So this one is the Goblet of Fire. Goblet of Fire is the one with the Triwizard Tournament. And actually this is the one where Voldemort comes back. Spoiler alert. I was actually at work the other day and we were talking about Nobody. And I had mentioned to some person that I love the scene where Bob Odenkirk was eating a steak and someone flipped out and was like, spoiler, spoiler, you ruined the whole movie for me. I was like, now I know someone's gonna eat a steak in the movie. Yeah, like, whatever. So let's move on to the fifth one. So the fifth one I don't have on the Ultimate Edition, but I got an image of what it looks like. So for some reason, the fifth one, because there's less of them, went up to the dramatic crazy price. I think I just looked it up on Amazon right now and it's selling for $150, which is completely and utterly ridiculous. So this is the art for it. That's the fifth one. So if I ever find one at a reasonable price, maybe I'll just get it and add it to the collection for the shelf. But $150 is ridiculous. And the sixth one was even worse. The sixth one, when I looked it up on Amazon, for the Ultimate Edition, it was $250. Completely ridiculous. Like, I don't know, I think some of these people selling it for that price, they're gonna go to hell. It's just a Blu-ray. So here it is, that's the sixth one. I never had that one. I think I went to a video store in town that had one of these, but it was completely ripped open and the discs weren't in there and the stuff was missing. I was like, there's no way I'm gonna buy that. So that's this, but the seventh one I do have. Seventh one was a Target exclusive. I remember I walked into a Target and I saw it sitting in there and I'm like, yeah, I'm getting this. Why not? Because I don't think I even had them at the time. And I'm like, well, perfect. I get the Ultimate Edition and I get the movies. So this was just like the other ones. This one has a lenticular as well. These, I think these had DVDs of both movies. This is actually Deathly Hallows 1 and 2. Deathly Hallows was the final book in the Harry Potter franchise. And because it was very important to the filmmakers to have everything that J.K. Rowling, for the most part, wrote in that book, they just did one long movie and they just split it in two. Plus, they made a lot more money doing it that way, too. So when they did the special edition, they just put 1 and 2 together as one set. So that way, even though there's 8 movies, there's only 7 special editions. So for some reason, my DVDs for this set are gone. I don't know what happened to them. I think I might have given them to my mother to watch and they just got lost. But the Blu-rays are in here. So eventually when these came out in 4K, I upgraded it when they went on sale. So I believe the first 2 movies are 4K digital intermediates because they were shot on film. But I think some of the later ones are upscales because they were edited in 2K. I think that's one reason why the first 2 look so good in 4K. So buying these movies separately on 4K is kind of a ripoff because the prices are all over the place. I was looking it up right now today. The first movie in 4K is like $23, but like the 5th one's $35. So if you get them all separately, you'll probably end up spending like close to $200. I think I only spent $130 for this. And this was a couple years ago, and I think now it sells for about $105. So $105 for 8 movies on 4K nowadays is a really good deal. The only thing with this set in particular is this set does not have any of the creating the worlds of Harry Potter. That's one reason why I guess it was less. If you buy these separately in 4K, you do get those discs. But this has a digital copy, And all those documentaries, when I double checked one day, they're all available on digital. So this one was just pretty much a simple snapper case, not the best art ever. You just open them up and then take the code out of here, even though I used it already. All of them are in here, in 4K only. And then they put another one in here that is exactly the same, but just has the Blu-ray copies. And even though these are probably the same transfers that are in the Ultimate Editions, they have new art. What I can see of the 20th anniversary edition of the 4K Harry Potter, it's gonna have the same discs that are in the 4K set. It's gonna have the movie, it's gonna have a Blu-ray, and it should have a third disc that has the Creating World of Harry Potter all in there. So for anyone that doesn't own the film yet, that would be a good way to get it on 4K. I don't know if it's gonna be a matte paint or if it's gonna be a gloss paint. I do remember that the box set they did a couple years ago for Christmas, it was a really nice box similar to the Game of Thrones, the one that's out right now. Had all 8 movies in there, but they were all matte paints. And it didn't look great for how much they cost. It was a pretty expensive set, and they could have done a much better job. There was no embossing, no debossing, and it was all matte paint. And I was like, yeah, it's not worth it. So I didn't get those. But I'll consider getting the 20th anniversary. I'm not quite sure yet. This has been a really busy year, and I gotta pick and choose what I get this year, especially movies that I already have, even though it'll look nice in here. The only reason I'm considering it is that most of these movies are only 1 or 2 years apart. And I'm thinking if they do the first Harry Potter, they're probably going to do the second one maybe in a year or 2 years of special edition of that as well. And maybe eventually you'll have a whole Steelbook set that's better than that last set. Children of Men. See, this is how old guys' memory works. I was gonna look it up, and before I could even think, it popped in my head. So Alfonso Cuarón, he directed the movie with Clive Owen, Children of Men, and that was actually a really, really good movie. I only watched it once, but it was good. So he's a really, really good director. So first 2 directed by Chris Columbus, the third one's directed by Alfonso Cuarón. And if I remember correctly, the 4th one, The Goblet of Fire, is directed by Michael Apted. Let me double check my memory. It came out in 2005. No, I'm wrong. It was Mike Newell. Mike Newell directed Goblet of Fire, the 4th one. And the 5th one, let's see. I remember when you get to like the 5th one, it's like the same guy throughout. David Yates did the 5th one. And if I remember correctly, he did the 6th one too. Or maybe that's the one with, nope, David Yates. So David Yates did the 5th one, the 6th one, and then technically the 7th one and the 8th one, because they were pretty much just one movie split into 2. And I believe David Yates did a couple of the Fantastic Beasts films as well. But this franchise has always been kind of special to me. When I discovered it back in 2001, I thought it had really great art design, really great story, compelling characters, really great performances by a lot of longtime British actors from over the years. If you haven't seen it, I mean, now's the time to check it out. I think I was gonna schedule a movie night with some friends, and I think someone had said something that as long as it's not Harry Potter, because they just feel like their movies are really long. Some people just aren't movie people. Some people just kind of feel if a movie is more than 90 minutes long, it's too long. But I mean, if that's not your thing, it's not your thing. But it's a huge franchise for a reason. It's a lot of fun. So there's lots of different ways that you can check it out. It was in my head today because Sci-Fi Channel is doing a marathon today. And I thought it was kind of strange because they played the first one, the second one in full widescreen, and then the third one, they just had it full frame for some reason. I don't know what goes into those decisions. So if you're interested in getting the special edition 20th anniversary Steelbook, it'll be available exclusively at Best Buy in a couple weeks. I believe they said it was going to be on the 17th. And those other editions are available for Harry Potter if you want to get the whole set. I recommend the 4K set because you get a digital copy, you get a 4K copy, and you get a Blu-ray copy. That's the ultimate value there. You don't have to worry about getting separate editions. So if you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. It's very, very helpful. I just did a Smallville video release a couple days ago, and that's got my most views so far, 52 views. So I guess there's a lot of Smallville fans out there, and I'm not Harry Potter fans are out there, but hey, you know, channel's growing very, very slowly. Again, thank you so much for viewing, and you'll have a great day. Bye.